Why would a suburban HOA tase a 10-year-old girl over a tray of burger buns? That's the question I was screaming in my head when our quiet neighborhood barbecue turned into a federal sting operation, exposing a reign of terror led by a clipboard-wielding tyrant. My name's Nathan, and this is the story of how my wife, a retired Special Forces commander, brought down an HOA empire with nothing but proof, patience, and a live stream to the Department of Justice. Buckle up, this isn't just about payback. It's about a family that refused to kneel. We moved to Willow Creek Estates chasing a dream. The brochure promised serenity, tree-lined streets, safe schools, a tight-knit community. My wife, Lauren, had just retired from Federal Service, her days of leading tactical teams in war zones behind her. Me? I'd spent years in cybersecurity, ready to trade late-night server crashes for a quieter life with our daughter, Sophie, who was 10 and loved sketching sunsets. But the moment we pulled into our driveway, peace wasn't waiting. Rules were. A woman named Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, marched up with a laminated binder thicker than a phone book. Her smile was sharp, her cardigan crisp, her clipboard held like a scepter. "Welcome to Willow Creek," she cooed, voice like syrup laced with vinegar. "Just a few guidelines to keep things harmonious." Those guidelines? They made military protocols look like post-it notes. No trash bins out past 7:01 a.m. No curtains darker than eggshell. Park an inch too close to the curb, and you'd get a fine. Lauren, who'd once trained SWAT teams in Iraq, flipped through the binder and smirked. "Cute," she said, eyes glinting. "Where's the part about basic human respect?" Margaret didn't laugh. Neither did the HOA. 3 days later, a violation notice arrived. The crime? Our SUV matte black steel bumpers, government plated until last year, was deemed too militarized for Willow Creek's aesthetic harmony. This was the same vehicle Lauren drove through 3 continents and 5 conflict zones. Now it was a neighborhood threat. I saw that flicker in Lauren's eyes, not anger, but calculation. She didn't rant or tweet. She just nodded, disappeared into the garage for 3 hours, and came back with one sentence. "They want to play enforcer? I'll play ghost." That's when I knew. The war had begun. The HOA didn't waste time. 4 days after the SUV citation, Margaret's CIVYC patrol rolled in 4 guys in black polos and cargo pants, strutting like they were raiding a cartel, not a cul-de-sac. One clutched a tape measure like it was a grenade launcher. Another had pepper spray holstered like a cowboy. They didn't knock. They measured our mailbox's distance from the curb, the porch light's lumens, the grass height down to the millimeter. One muttered into a walkie-talkie. "Overgrowth detected, 1.2 inches above standard." I stood in the driveway, arms crossed, biting my tongue. Lauren watched from the upstairs window, still as a sniper. Margaret arrived 15 minutes later, her pastel sweater fluttering, her smile venomous. "Nathan, I hope this isn't too much," she said. "The community's just ensuring compliance. We've had concerns." I stepped closer. "Concerns from who?" She tilted her head. "The neighborhood speaks quietly. I listen." Lauren opened the garage door, grease on her hands, tactical boots laced tight. She didn't speak, just stared at Margaret like she was sizing up a target. Margaret's smile twitched. "Your wife has quite the presence." "Not exactly welcoming." Lauren's voice was steel. "I ran ops in Fallujah. Your little patrol doesn't scare me. Try harder." Margaret's lips thinned. The patrol left, taping a new citation to our mailbox. "Vehicle non-compliant. Consider alternative transport." That night I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, but because Lauren was different. She wasn't pacing or venting. She was working, sorting files, printing drone maps of the neighborhood, taping one phrase to the garage wall. "Saw know your enemy before they strike." So I asked her, "What's the plan?" She didn't look up, just loaded a memory card into her surveillance hub. "I'm not planning, Nathan. I'm watching." And when Lauren watches, someone always falls. It started small. One of Margaret's goons, a guy with mirrored sunglasses and a square jaw, lingered by our mailbox, staring into our levy-wying room. His walkie-talkie buzzed as he stepped onto our porch. I flung the door open, barefoot and furious. "Get off my property!" I snapped. "You look at my family again, and you'll regret it." He froze, hand twitching near his pepper spray. Sophie peeked from the hallway, clutching her sketchpad. Lauren stepped out from the garage, calm, her voice slicing the air. "You want to know the difference between a real operative and a wannabe rent-a-cop? The real one doesn't flinch." He backed off. Margaret showed up 10 minutes later, clipboard in hand, perfume like stale roses. "I heard there was a misunderstanding," she said, eyes flicking between us. "Nathan Lawrence. Intensity isn't helping harmony." I leaned in. "You sent a creep to spy on my daughter." She didn't blink. "He was checking your air quality monitor. If you've got nothing to hide, why the fuss?" Lauren cut in, voice low. "Don't mistake our patience for weakness, Margaret. You won't like what comes next." Margaret tacked a yellow escalation notice to our mailbox and left. That night, Lauren wired 2 new cameras, one in the mailbox, one on the roof. I asked if we should file a complaint. She snorted. "Complaints are for people who trust the system. I don't." 3 days of silence followed. No citations, no patrols. But it wasn't PC, it was strategy. Margaret was circling, waiting. Lauren was building. At 2:14 a.m., her phone rang. She answered with, "Same setup, same rules," and hung up. By morning, a man walked past our house 3 times, pausing at the fire hydrant. No dog, just a leash. That was Victor, ex-Marine, trained by Lauren in Dubai. Later, a woman dropped off groceries, a flash drive and mini cams hidden inside. That was Anna, former CIA from Poland. Lauren was reviewing Annette, and Margaret was the fly. Then came the letter, slipped under our door like a threat. Notice of aggressive energy monitoring. Residents showing VY soul hostility face harmony re VYEW. Sophie saw it and asked, "Dad, are we the bad guys?" My chest tightened. I knelt down. "Kiddo, the people with the most rules are usually hiding something." Lauren filed the letter in a folder labeled SAW Control Tactics. "So?" I asked. "What's the end game?" She looked at me, eyes clear. "I'm not suing them, Nathan. I'm dismantling them." The barbecue was Lauren's masterstroke. No flyers, just whispers to neighbors and a note on Tom's garage, "Saw burgers. Saturday. Be there." Saw by noon, 20 families showed up, suspicious but curious. These weren't guests, they were witnesses, scarred by Margaret's fines for things like unapproved mailbox colors. Lauren set tables like a battlefield, chairs facing the street, her SUV parked under the HOA's "Compliance is duty" sign, an American flag in the windshield. Margaret arrived at 2 p.m., lipstick bright as blood, flanked by 2 goons. "This gathering's unauthorized," she barked. "Section 4.7. I grinned. "Write it down, Margaret. We'll frame it." She sneered. "Defiance isn't compliance." Lauren stepped forward, arms crossed, silent. Margaret's jaw tightened. "You've been warned." Lauren's reply was ice. "Escalate, Margaret. Just make sure your clipboard's bulletproof." The air shifted. Kids stopped playing. The barbecue wasn't a party anymore. It was a trap. They came quietly, no sirens, just 2 HOA golf carts rolling up like tanks. Margaret led, her cardigan pristine, her goons in black vests, radios crackling, one with a taser clipped to his belt. The crowd froze. I dropped my spatula. Margaret's voice boomed. "This vehicle VYOLAT's Regulation 14.25. Remove it, or we act." Lauren stood by her SUV, Unmo VYing. "You want it gone? Go through me." A goon snorted, reached for his taser, and then it happened. Sophie, smiling, carrying burger buns, walked up behind Lauren. The taser fired. Sophie jerked, the tray crashed, buns scattered, and she collapsed. My world stopped. I dropped beside her, screaming her name, my hands shaking. Lauren's eyes flashed not fear, but fury. Red laser dots appeared dozens, painting the goons' vests, necks, foreheads. From rooftops, alleys, windows. Lauren's team was here. Margaret gasped. What is this? Lauren knelt by Sophie, checked her pulse, then stood, facing the taser-wielding goon. You just assaulted a minor with an unauthorized weapon on camera. Congrats. A man in a suit stepped forward, badge gleaming. Department of Justice. We've been watching since February. You just handed us the case. Margaret stammered. This is madness. You can't bring soldiers to a barbecue. Lauren handed the agent a binder of photos, emails, HOA minutes, proof of surveillance, coercion, assault. You wanted a paper trail, Margaret? I framed it. The agent nodded. This was a sting. Your HOA's been abusing authority beyond its charter. You're under investigation for fraud, impersonation, and assault. Margaret's clipboard cracked in her grip. Her goons stepped back. Checkmate. You'd think that was the end. But at 2:03 a.m., I heard a click at the side door. The security feed showed two men, HOA treasurer Carl and Margaret's cousin, who made their fake badges sneaking into our garage for Lauren's hard drives. I started to wake her, but she was already up, boots on, eyes like knives. Let them in, she said. The moment they opened the door, strobes flashed, a silent alarm triggered, and a live stream alerted the neighborhood. Carl and his buddy fumbled through wires, cursing, exposed. Sirens wailed. Deputies tackled them in the driveway. Lauren stepped out, sipping tea like a queen. Carl whimpered, We were fixing her mess. Lauren crouched. I didn't make the mess. I showed it. By dawn, they faced charges, tampering, breaking and entering, conspiracy. Margaret vanished. No apology, no defense. The HOA dissolved, its records seized by feds. Neighbors came to us, relieved, sharing stories of fines for too bright flowers or unapproved fence heights. Tom, fined law 300 for his car's tarp, brought pie, tears in his eyes. She was bluffing, wasn't she? Lauren nodded. Fear only works until people stand. At the emergency meeting, Lauren was nominated interim leader. She hesitated, but Mrs. Rivera, fined for her disharmonious solar panels, insisted. Lauren stood, Sophie's taser scars still fresh. No fines. No patrols. No clipboards. We build on trust. The room erupted. She shredded Margaret's rulebook, page by page, and passed me the gavel. You're the calm one, she said. I shook my head. You won this. You carry it. That night, Sophie asked if Margaret would return. Lauren stared out the window. If she does, we won't fight. We'll bury her with truth, with the community she tried to cage. Sophie hugged her tighter. By morning, a clipboard floated in the fountain, sharpened with, Saw we see everything. Saw Margaret ruled with fear, but Lauren fought with facts. And in the end, it wasn't fists that freed Willow Creek. It was a family that refused to break, a little girl with a brave heart, and a woman who'd always been 5 steps ahead. So, tell me, have you ever faced a Margaret? Someone who thought they owned you. Because out here, the truth doesn't just win. It burns.